Spoiler alert. The following will contain spoilers for WandaVision. What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man, from E-Man's Movie Reviews. First of all, stay tuned because I've got a very special announcement at the end of this video. Second of all, finally, oh my gosh, it feels like it's been 571 days. I don't know what the actual number is since the last time we seen anything MCU related. Oh, finally. I feel like I've been so thirsty for the MCU that I might have made this more enjoyable than it really was, but doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of happy that we're getting something and WandaVision is here. You know what? Let me tell you something though. It's definitely different, right? Like this is definitely something. It's as different as I think the trailers pretty much marketed it to be. By the way, I got a gripe with the trailers, but we'll get to that later. But man, when I tell you Marvel got lucky, I think they got real lucky and smart by dropping these first 2 episodes. Because if you were to tell me that these 9 episodes that you about to release on a weekly basis and the first episode was all we got after having that long drought with nothing, man, that would have been I don't know. I don't know how many people would have had that much patience, with a Disney Plus trial or whatever. So anyway, let's go through this. We're going to go through both episodes and break down what happened, because there is a lot more than what it seems. Wanda and Vision drive into the new town of Westview as newlyweds and move right into the new house. They joke about the special day on the calendar, which neither one of them obviously knows why it's highlighted. Agnes, the annoying neighbor, is at the door and she invites herself into the house. She starts asking questions about Wanda's marital status, and Wanda quickly replies that she's indeed married to a man, a human man at that. They start talking about the special day, and Agnes immediately involves herself even deeper into Wanda's business by volunteering to help her plan for the night. So once we're introduced to Wanda and Vision, it does seem as though, because it's not like we have any context, right? Like, we literally just pick up with them moving into this neighborhood, this house. I don't know, did they buy it? I don't know. Were they previous owners? I don't know. But they just move into this suburban house or whatever. And even though this reality, or wherever they are, is clearly a fictional work or whatever, they do seem to be at least aware of who they are and what they can do. I mean, they even kind of joke about, certain things like, oh, my wife in flying saucers, or, oh, my husband and his indestructible head, kind of making reference to, aliens and, Avengers, Age of Ultron, or indestructible head, where she had to like destroy the Mind Stone and stuff. So, we have plenty of these MCU little references and little tidbits that they're kind of playing off as jokes. But it does seem like, they know that they both have powers. They know how powerful the other one can be, and they don't want anyone in the neighborhood to know about it. But either way, they're also willing to play along with whatever this fantasy is. And while they're at it, Wanda's in like full control of everything that's going on. I mean, if you think about it, she's kind of like a god in this world. I mean, she could reverse time, where she dropped the plate and then all of a sudden it came back. Now, the other thing that we see is Wanda kind of experiencing these small little mental blips in reality with minor details that are lost on her. This kind of makes me think of like, the situation when people tell like a big grand lie and you have like this big story or whatever, but what do they often say? Usually it's the details that matter, right? And it's the details that allow you to poke holes in a lie. And I feel like that's obviously the running situation, the running theme that's going to happen is there's constantly going to be these moments where holes are going to be poked and, this lie is going to unravel itself in different ways. And I mean, of course, as we've seen in the trailers, this is not going to be the last time we see stuff like this. Vision is now at his job doing mindless work and begins to ask questions about what exactly they do there. After a conversation with his boss, Mr. Hart, Vision realizes that the special occasion is actually a dinner planned with his boss and his wife. Crazy thing here, and I actually kind of like this little moment, where Vision's like, "What do we do here?" And like, his colleague is like, we do the reports, and we do computations, and Vision's like, computations of what? So I just kind of liked how like it was just mindless busy work, and to be honest, I feel like people in today's world can probably say stuff like that. Like, what do we actually do here? I don't know. But the one thing that I just wanted to point out, did you see when my man was looking at the actual reports and the pages were blank? I'm like, bro, you a whole supercomputer. You couldn't tell that. Like, you couldn't see that. Now, here's another quick thing. I actually looked up the little calendar date. What was it, August 23rd or whatever? I couldn't find any like major Easter egg with it. But the one thing I did find was the fact that August 23rd, 2019 was the very day that Kevin Feige went up and announced, it was during D23, the Disney Expo or whatever, he announced that WandaVision was going to happen. So I guess in a sense, it is kind of like their anniversary. Later that night, Wanda and Vision struggle to hide their abilities while making a last-minute dinner for the Harts. Wanda, with the help of Agnes, manages to put something together while Vision distracts Mr. and Mrs. Hart with some music. Alright, now, I hate to like nitpick at this, and I get it, it's, for the sake of the story or whatever, but how are you like a whole magical being who can manipulate matter on the molecular level and you don't know how to cook? Didn't y'all just have some cooking lessons or whatever back in Civil War? Wanda's tripping. Also, if you notice, the glass of wine was a fun little Easter egg with the translation being House of Contempt, and that's just a reference to the House of M big storyline in the comics. And you know what? Like, look, one thing that this show clearly has a vested interest in doing is throwing little Easter eggs at us, for a lot of different things. Now, I don't know if many of these Easter eggs mean very much outside of just kind of, giving that little comic book nudge, like, remember that comic book story? Remember that? And I think that's really what all this is and what most of these things amount to. So for the time being, I don't really know if these Easter eggs that they kind of show throughout actually mean much to the plot and the story, more so than they're there for the sake of just having some fun. Now, that could be wrong. Maybe once we get done with the entire season, we go back and we're like, oh man, they've been trying to tell us something the whole time, But hey, that's the fun in the game too. Oh, actually, speaking of which, there was another little Easter egg reference. When Mr. Hart was like complaining and whining about like, what's going on in this house? You've got chaos all around. That is actually yet another little reference to Wanda in the comic books, because Scarlet Witch actually uses chaos magic. And, I guess that's kind of manifested because whenever she's like using her magic in a bigger way, chaos ensues, like she's trying to cook. She can't do all of that. So it's chaos in the kitchen. So, that was just another little fun nod to the comics. As they sit down to eat, the Harts ask Wanda and Vision their story, but they cannot explain where they came from or how they got married, where they got married, or when. Mr. Hart grows furious and begins choking on his food. First of all, I'm gonna need Mr. Hart to calm down. I ain't never seen somebody get so agitated because their nosiness did not get answered or whatever. Like, bruh, chill. Second of all, do y'all think Wanda did that to him? Look, okay, here, look, let me just say, I am under the impression, because I know some people are like, well, is Wanda doing this, or is somebody doing it to Wanda? I think this is all Wanda. One of the reasons why I say that is because Wanda seems to demonstrate that she has power here, right? And I'm not just talking about moving things. Like, seems like she has power, and command here. The reason why I say that, look at Mrs. Hart. When she was like, oh, stop it, stop it. She was like laughing to stop from crying. And that kind of gave me the impression that she was not in control of herself. Like she had to keep up the ruse. And it's like, well, who are you afraid of? And clearly, it had to have been Wanda, because you also look at Vision, and Vision had like this guilty look on his face, like, what you want me to do, boss? I don't know what to do, because if you want to, the more I look at this, whenever something threatens the story or the lie or this reality, which is what Mr. Hart was doing through his line of questioning, I think that there's like a subtle, maybe even subconscious attack. And I think Wanda was the one that made him choke, because she needed him to shut up. And, you know, it wasn't until she gave permission to Vision that she was like, Vision, help him. Then he was like, yes, boss. And then he went and helped him. So, I think Wanda's in all control of this. Now we'll see later on if there's some more things at play, which I do think there is. But this was like when it actually got kind of dark, and I liked it because it was kind of like, ooh, like this, you changed up the tone real fast. And in classic TV fashion, after Vision saves him, he's just kind of like, okay, well, hey, you get a promotion. That dinner was great, even though they were complaining about being hungry earlier. And then they just go about their merry way. I guess that's TV for you. As the couple reaffirm their love and straighten out some of their love story details, Wanda also creates some wedding rings for them to wear. As the episode ends, apparently, the real episode also ends because someone is watching them on an old-fashioned television. Alright, well, I don't think that this is much of a stretch to believe, but clearly the person watching them is an agent from S.W.O.R.D. And this is one of my bigger gripes with Marvel. I did not like the fact that the trailers even showed us that S.W.O.R.D. was involved at all. Think about it like this, because the trailers, I think, kind of ruined that surprise. If you were to think about the way this episode was structured, it was supposed to show you, the WandaVision stuff, like the TV episodes. But imagine if we had never known that S.W.O.R.D. was involved. That final scene would have been like a dope surprise. We all would have been sitting here like, what the hell is that? Everybody would have been doing their theories. Everybody would have been wondering, like, who is the person watching them? What is going on? But now, because we know, S.W.O.R.D. is all involved, at this point in episode 1, it's kind of like, man, okay, yeah, they watching, whatever. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, I was just like, Marvel, you took your own edge off. Your show was trying to surprise us with something, but you already showed us like a gazillion trailers letting us know that it was going to get like that. And now that I think about it, I think like everything that we see with S.W.O.R.D. for the most part probably is going to come towards the end of the season. And I would be very disappointed if we end up finding that out too. But, we'll get to that point later. Now, let's get to episode 2. During what appears to be the 1960s, Wanda and Vision begin to hear strange noises outside of their house. Now, right off the bat, I think the cool thing about this was, again, they're kind of like playing on the old tropes and stuff from these 60s TV sitcoms. And, we got Vision and Wanda sleeping in separate beds and all that. But of course, as time progresses, because it just wasn't like, it wasn't appropriate, back in the day, to show a married couple in bed together, whatever. But this show also tries to like push back against that. And I think that's what ends up happening when you see her, like bring the beds together and all. But that knock at the window that was going on, again, I get the comedy aspect of it all, but I just kind of find it kind of funny that like of all people, Vision would be scared of that. But again, I guess that's just for the comedy. But I do have my theory about what's going on with that bumping noise and stuff, but we'll get to that later. The next day, they prepare for their magic act for a neighborhood talent show. While at home, Wanda continues to hear the banging noise from outside. She goes and finds a red toy helicopter that is in full color, opposing the black and white world that they're living in. It also had the S.W.O.R.D. symbol on it. Look, like I said, I think S.W.O.R.D. was already involved, and I think that helicopter was not a toy. I think it was actually like a drone from Sword, but just kind of dressed up as a toy. I mean, they were probably spying on Wanda and Vision, and my guess is that loud banging is probably the drone just running into the house because maybe somebody's just being stupid. Not to mention, whatever bubble that they're living in, you probably just can't walk right in there, at least not without being affected by it anyway. So, they probably went ahead and used the drone because that's the only way they can actually monitor what's going on inside this mysterious, magic bubble. Wanda and Agnes then spend the day with Dottie and a group of women from the neighborhood. Well, let me just say, I'm actually kind of digging Agnes. She's pretty funny as the comic relief here. I love the little witty lines that she brings in, and again, just her whole character, and the actress. I forget her name. Han, I think is her last name. Whatever it is. But she's pretty funny, and I like what she's bringing to the table. We also finally get to see Geraldine, or better yet, actually Monica Rambeau. And for some of you that probably don't know, Monica Rambeau was the little girl that was in Captain Marvel. That, obviously this is her now grown up. Now, how and why she's stuck in this world or why she's here, we don't know that yet. But of course, they will let us know sometime down the line. I also won't really spoil it for you, but I will say that, the actress Tiona Paris that plays Monica Rambeau did say that WandaVision was going to be like an origin story for Monica. So we can expect to get more of her and probably some deeper background because she is going to be featured in Captain Marvel 2 when that eventually comes out. At the neighborhood watch meeting, Vision becomes friendly with the local men to inquire about the security of the town. However, he finds out that the group of men are just a bunch of gossipers. While chucking it up with the guys, they give Vision a stick of gum and he immediately has a case of robotic bubble guts. Now, okay, I just want to mention something real quick. Did y'all see like when Vision made that joke about calling Norm a communist? First of all, that's not a joke. Like, I mean, it's a joke, but it's almost like, I don't know, if you went to, the 1950s or something or 40s and called someone a Nazi. Like, it, there was a thing called the Red Scare where everybody was afraid of like communists and spies, and that was getting people killed, so I know they laughing it up right there, but Vision could have gotten that man killed. I'm just saying. Wanda has a confrontation with Dottie and says that she doesn't mean her any harm. Dottie starts to get a little bold and says that she doesn't believe her. Just then, a voice through the radio tries to call out to Wanda asking her who's doing this to you. This triggers Dottie into trembling and crushing the glass in her hand, and she started bleeding. The blood being a bright red and also contrasting the black and white world similar to that red helicopter earlier on. Well, again, I think, for me, the thing that helps me make sense of all this is to go in with the impression that, again, this is all Wanda's doing, that Wanda is the one that's constructing this world from her mind. And this definitely seems like another instance where whatever construct that she's created in this world or that she's operating in, it just got poked again, right? So for that moment when Dottie just kind of, broke free, just a little bit, because I'm almost getting a little bit of those vibes from Get Out, like when the person inside just, starts to try and climb their way out of the sunken place. I get the way I kind of correlate it is also Wanda losing her concentration, right? Because she has to maintain this fantasy that's going on. But the moment she hears the truth, it screws with her head and basically the fantasy starts to fall apart, which is why you probably start seeing the bloody, the color and other things because those things don't belong. And I know the voice that was coming through the radio, I believe that is Agent Woo, played by Randall Park. A lot of people were, kind of remembering his voice and stuff. I believe that it's a misdirection that's happening with him. So when he sits here and says like, Wanda, who's doing this to you? I think, yeah, Shield, or I'm sorry, not Shield, Sword might believe that someone is doing this to her. And I think that they're saying that again to misdirect us, the audience. But I really do believe that Wanda's doing all of this. And the reason why I say that is because if you recall, Wanda's already demonstrated these reality warping powers, right? Matter of fact, Wanda has a little bit of an aspect of different Infinity Stones with her powers. I just don't think we really noticed it as much. At least I know I didn't. I mean, when you think about her telekinesis, where she can move things with her mind, that comes from the Space Stone, right? The fact that she can affect people's minds, that's an aspect of the Mind Stone. The fact that she can go in someone's mind and create illusions or different realities, that comes from the Reality Stone, right? So, I think that is what is going on with her, is the same way she was creating illusions for people in Age of Ultron. And also, oh, by the way, and she kind of can manipulate time, right? Because in those realities that she created, they predicted the future and they came true. So I feel as though she is using the same power that she cast on other people is now being cast on herself. I also think that that's for other reasons, but we'll get to that in just a second. So let's finish up the episode. When Vision arrives at the talent show, he appears to be intoxicated due to the gum that he swallowed. During the magic show, he ends up revealing many of his abilities to the neighborhood. Wanda uses her own abilities to make Vision look like he's doing some simple magic tricks. Afterwards, Wanda removes the gum from Vision's gears. Their performance is well received and they return home happy. And, all of a sudden, Wanda is pregnant. Suddenly, after hearing the same loud banging noise again, they go outside to discover a strange beekeeper emerging from a manhole on their street. Wanda doesn't like any of that, and their reality resets to before the banging sound happened. The setting then changes to the 1970s as everything becomes colorful and a voice is asking Wanda who is controlling her. Wow, okay, so man, finally, this started to pick up. So now that we have all of this, I think I have to kind of like go over a couple things because I'm pretty sure some of you have some real questions, like what's going on here? What's happening? So let me kind of explain this as best I can. And I'm going to throw in some of my own theories in the mix of this too. So some of it might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure most of it's right. Maybe. I don't know. Now, as I said, I do believe that Wanda created this world mainly because of the powers that she's already had and she's already demonstrated. The second thing is, I think that she's actually doing all of this as a byproduct of the stress and emotional trauma that she suffered. I want you to think about this for a second. Remember in Age of Ultron, she lost her brother Pietro at the hands of Ultron and Sokovia or whatever, right? So that already was an emotional problem for her. Then she also had the guilt put on her for the Sokovia Accords, because during that whole event, that mission with Captain America and them, she killed some people. It was on accident, but she still killed some people. So that is also weighing on her. Then fast forward to Infinity War, she had to kill her man, Vision, by crushing the Mind Stone. Then Thanos rewound time and he killed him anyway. And she sat there just suffering, and then she got snapped away. Keep this in mind as well. When she got snapped away, after the Hulk brought her back in, 5 years later, during Endgame, no time has passed for her. It was literally like dusted away, then you wake up, you in the middle of a crazy battle, you see the dude that killed your man, you go berserk on that, and then y'all finally win the battle. Tony Stark dies, and you're just right there at the funeral, and that's it. So while everybody else has had at least 5 years to process everything and go through, I mean, we saw Cap in the counseling meetings and stuff leading, like people were having grief counseling and stuff, given all the losses. She's never had time to process any of that. So a lot of this stress and trauma is weighing on her heavily, quickly, and just like all at once. And I think, like in the comics, she just had a mental snap, which is perfectly understandable. So again, I think that because of all that stress and trauma, her powers are just they're just crazy right now, right? And she doesn't know how to control them. So I do believe she created this fictional reality that probably, I don't know, maybe it started as a dream and it just like grew and got bigger and bigger. And I do think that Sword is like on the outside of this, right? Like, but here's the thing. What's Sword about to do? How they are about to sit here and like combat this, because Wanda's like got powers on Infinity Stone levels, so I think that all they really can do is try to get through whatever this force field or energy field is. I mean, they're trying to do that through different ways. I mean, through the helicopter, the drone, maybe, through the radio waves, having, I mean, a beekeeper, that part, that to me makes no sense. But I will say I made a bold prediction on who that beekeeper was. So be sure to go check out my bold predictions video, where I do explain who I think the beekeeper is and why that face is all blacked out, because I think that was very intentional. Anyway, we see that Wanda is like also pregnant, and she's pregnant quickly, right? I mean, like the first sign of real intimacy between her and Vision was like earlier in that episode, and then boom, she's already, I don't know, a couple months pregnant. I mean, she's showing at this point. And a lot of this is because, in this world, she is kind of like a god. I mean, she can control space, time, and matter. Plus, I also think that, like, the reason why they're doing like these decades and jumping around is more manipulation of time, probably, to, like, if she ends up having a kid. In the comics, she had twins, so we'll see if she gets twins or if it's just one kid. But, the time progression is probably to help the kid or kids grow up faster. Not to mention, there's another idea out there that, one of the biggest questions, like, why are we doing TV sitcoms? What is the deal with that? Well, again, if Wanda is the one that is constructing this reality, by growing up in poor Sokovia, wherever she grew up, she probably watched old school TV, and like these were things that she grew up on. And maybe these were her happy places, so she reconstructed that reality, because as you can see, she is pretty happy until things mess up with her fantasy. So that is why, we're going through like these 50s, 60s, 70s, probably 80s and 90s TV shows, because that's probably what she grew up with. So anyway, you guys kind of tell me, how are you feeling about WandaVision so far? I mean, I know it's only 2 episodes. Judging by the trailers, they're going to turn this up like a lot later. I kind of wish they'd hurry up and turn it up, but we'll just have to wait. But how are you feeling about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, that's all I got for today. I know that there were probably a ton more of Easter eggs and stuff in here. I just don't have the time to like sit here and analyze every single one. I'm sure there's like a gazillion of them. If you know of any, please feel free to drop them in the comments. We can make this a community effort. I'm pretty sure some of you guys catch some things that I didn't catch, and vice versa, whatever. So yeah, if you find some interesting ones, let me know in the comments down below. By the way, I did not forget. I told you I had a special announcement. Shout out to the folks at Disney. They sent over this this very nice WandaVision swag mystery box. It's got, I'm assuming, some very cool WandaVision stuff in there. So shout out to Marvel. Whew, that was kind of heavy. However, if anybody knows me, and if you've been on my channel long enough, you already know when I get stuff, I don't want it. I want to give it back to you guys, because you guys make this channel what it is, and I always really, really do appreciate it. So I'm going to be giving that box to somebody else. Unfortunately, I only have one, so I can only, pick one person. But I do want to, again, just show my appreciation. So all you got to do, obviously, be a subscriber of the channel. And I'll have a link in the description where you can enter your contact information, and I'm just going to pick a random person and just ship it out to them. So whoever gets it, congratulations in advance, and everybody that entered, good luck. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Again, thank you so much. I will be covering episode 3, and then I will keep on covering the rest of the episodes. And, hey, we're going to have some fun with this, right? So as always, I thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my video. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all. And until next time, I'll see you all later.